Fuller had the original documents from that time. Oh, hi.
Okay. We're back after the commercial break. Yes. Jay Leno talking to Mark DeRaud. Pentecostal gifts for the current culture in church history.
The Pentecostal gifts, I would relate to the gift of wisdom. The Greeks might have called it the muse, but I identify with Jesus, like Paul says, and I think that's also in Corinthians. Jesus, who is the wisdom of God, is a direct reference to the Old Testament and wisdom literature of Proverbs. That God is giving wisdom, and that the prayer for wisdom is one of the prayers that God likes to answer. Well, when you're sitting quietly doing artwork, for example, I have, and Dave knows this because he witnessed it, I did a drawing during a worship service that once I showed it to the congregation, Dave had me come up, I had drawn somebody's dream, a recurring dream, and the young man in the congregation was astounded by that. Well, so was I, because I didn't need to fall on the floor. I didn't need to speak in tongues. I honor all those things, but they were not necessary for me to actually experience the wisdom of God, to have a direct God encounter. I just needed to be still and listen and to pay attention, and I'll use this word, to be mindful. To be a good artist, you need to be mindful of what's going on in your interior life, or you will screw up. You will not be able to produce the artwork, the drawings that are there. And I have examples of being mindful and not being mindful, trying to draw the same portrait, and they are wildly different. So you become mindful of this inner voice speaking to you, guiding you, helping you. And then sometimes you end up doing artwork that speaks prophetically to somebody's life, and you're not really even conscious of that transpiring until it's shown to somebody else. And it's done without barking like a dog, or falling down, or speaking in tongues, or any other such thing. Well, that ties us then to the early church, to Orthodoxy, that we can experience God profoundly and not have to constantly gin up excitement in order to have that happen. And I still like the excitement stuff. I haven't fallen on ground in a long time, but
let me pray for you right now. Yeah.
So
most of us probably just had barely heard of the Orthodox tradition, and we'd probably say, well, what does that have to do with our stream? What are some areas of convergence between Orthodoxy or Eastern Church and Pentecostalism? What's up?
Well, I still speak just as a layman and as an artist, but much of my life is informed by being delivered from, well, my dad was suicidal, and I'd been saved a year as a young man, and I was suicidal, and I was being spoken to in dreams and visions. And I was delivered out of my suicidal depression as a teenager, without drugs and without help, by the power of God. So I believe in this transformative power that came through the contemplative. It didn't come on the floor of at a Pentecostal meeting.
So are you saying the Orthodox tradition, almost from the beginning, really was comfortable with things we more naturally label Pentecostal, prophetic, dreams,
yes,
visions, experience, mystical encounters?
If we toss in the evangelical mindset, then our similarities really come to light. That there is an expectation that knowledge has to do with actually experiencing God, hearing the thoughts of God, such as Paul talks about. Jesus talks about how many evangelicals preach on, you have no need that any man teach you, but that the Holy Spirit will bring to remembrance to you. We don't hear that very often. So going back historically, the Counter-Reformation, right after the Reformation, the Catholics came back with an answer, and they did respond to the Reformation and the things that it was claiming. And here again we see artwork actually giving an insight into